I was a bad egg back then. Most kids were. If your parents were dead, you had a choice. A life of slavery in a workhouse that guaranteed an early grave next to them, or a life of thievery with the smallest chance of making some actual cash. I wasn't ready to join my parents, so I chose the latter. I wouldn't say I lived that way for many years, more managed, but it was better than dying. Besides, it was always funny watching the peelers try and climb up the walls I scaled, looking at them try leg ups only for them to fall on their ass. I would kill myself laughing. It was the same routine over and over again. I'd sleep on the roof of some posh gits place, wake up early for the market. I'd steal breakfast, beg and pickpocket, steal lunch, beg and pickpocket, steal dinner, and then back home again. It was that way for a good 5 years, but at least I still had air in my lungs. But one day there was a slight change. It was November when I lived in Dorset Street. What a place to be. Muggings around one corner, ladies of the night round another, and urchins like me, well, they were dying. Everywhere. Kids like me coming back from the workhouses. Their lungs almost dunked in soot and smoke. I remember their coughs would echo at night. The symphony of Dorset Street, played by the orchestra of poverty and disease forged by the gentry. You just close your eyes and pray for silence. I remember sitting on the cold ground, letting the rain just fall on me. That day I hadn't gathered anything, not a scrap. And when I tried, I ended up getting lashed by some self-righteous ponce. He left me with a gash across my arm, and I couldn't climb anything with my arm weeping all over the place. I just sat there clutching it. How pathetic was I? A rat in the street. As I sat there clutching my arm, trying to figure out if the water on my face was from the sky or my eyes, the rain just stopped. All around me, it just stopped, just like that. I looked up and saw someone standing over me, umbrella in hand, looking down. Her white apron was untouched by the pouring rain. The same was for her apple red hair. Her ruby lips formed a frown, but not one of disgust or anger like I usually got. This one was just sad. Can I help you, miss? I asked nervously, wiping my eyes and sniffling. There was a pause before she answered. I could ask the same of you. I didn't understand at first. What was an angel doing in Dorset? I'm fine, I blurted, shielding my face from her. Fine is not the word I'd use to describe what I'm looking at. The woman slowly kneeled down, speaking with a motherly tone to her voice. I snapped back. And what are you looking at, miss? A street rat? An urchin? I've heard them all. The woman didn't flinch. I'm looking at a boy who's alone, sitting in the rain and crying. I looked up at her as she spoke, revealing my bloodshot eyes. When I should be looking at a boy who's warm, well-fed, and with dry eyes. I couldn't believe a word of it. Miss, are you drunk? I asked oafishly. Not tonight, no. She snapped back, sharp as a knife. Are you? I chuckled slightly. Course not. I'm only a kid. She smiled and widened her blue eyes. Exactly. So why are you here? I sighed. I've got nowhere else. I whimpered, bringing my knees up to my chest. Well, that's not entirely true. You're sitting outside somewhere. She knocked her small hand up on the door I sat opposite to. Is that where you live then? I asked softly. She nodded her head and smiled. I don't have much, but I certainly have enough to spare. She walked up to the beaten wooden door and began to unlock it. It seemed too good to be true. I can't just walk into some stranger's house at night, I chirped. What if you're a witch? Most women would be appalled at such a claim, maybe even delivering a slap across the chops or something. But she delivered a happy giggle instead. I wish I was. Then I could magic up all the money I wanted to get out of here. This made me giggle as well, as I stood idly by while she unlocked the wooden door. When it opened, she turned with a smile. After you, Mr. Michael, I answered. Well then, Michael, you can stop calling me Miss and start calling me Mary, she cooed, gently airing me into the small flat she lived in. And so began a beautiful friendship. Mary Kelly's home wasn't exactly angelic, yet it felt like heaven compared to what I slept in each night. I remember she always had a slice of bread for me each day, and maybe even a handful of grapes if I was lucky. She taught me so much. She taught me how to play cards, to write, and to read. I remember a study in Scarlet like the back of my hand now, thanks to her. And you know, I think I always knew what she was. How she earned money, anyway. Explained why so many blokes were around, but it never bothered me. I wasn't exactly a church boy myself. So if I were going to hell, then at least she'd be there waiting. We'd hug at the gates, like we always did. And she'd tell me it will all be okay. It's funny. I always had some glimmer of hope that Sherlock Holmes really lived on Baker Street, and he was really on the case. Because he would have caught him. No problem. Then maybe Mary would have lived. I kept telling her I saw things at night. Shadows that scuttle away when you see them, like rats from the sewer. But like all grown-ups did, she suffered that terrible curse of rationality, dishing out the same old lines. It's all in your head, Michael. There's no such thing as monsters. But there was such a thing as Jack. The 9th of November was an empty day. Empty pockets, empty stomach, and even empty streets. As night fell, I didn't pass one drunkard or copper. Not even the rats were out. I turned the alley to Mary's Road, rolled my eyes. Mary had tied a ribbon around the doorknob to her house, and that was code for bloke round, do one. Not a single soul was out in the street that night, except me. I tried to shake off the cold shiver down my spine as I walked down the cobble paths. tried to reason that the shadows looming above me were nothing more than the lampposts I passed. Until I eventually found an alley, not too far from Mary's home. Home at last. I rested my head on my concrete pillow, shielding myself with my duvet of air, closed my eyes. The symphony of Dorset was silent. At first, I didn't move. I laid there, my eyelids pulled back by fear, and did not move. Until I realised where it came from, who it came from. And then I ran. My feet broke the silence as they raced down the cobblestone. I journeyed through the forest of lampposts, and I swam through the sea of shadows that they cast, until I finally turned the corner to Mary's house. I didn't scream. I couldn't. I don't know why, but I couldn't. He was taller than the door he had walked out of. The smell that escaped that door washed over me like a rug of blood. There was one crimson-stained hand that was holding the doorknob. Another toyed with the ribbon that was once tied around it. Another sheathed his rusty blade into his coat pocket. And one more slithered into the air and waved. His eyes did not look away from me. Those tiny yellow spots that did not blink. Until he smiled a smile that curled above his brow and tipped the brim of his leather top hat. I saw the Ripper. He saw me. And he said one word.